We're in game week 3 of the Championship already. It's flying by and teams are already starting to rack up the points. Let's have a quick run through of a pretty insane game week 2 last week. Feels like last season already. It has been a week from hell, trust me. And apologies again, we are doing this very last minute, sat on the floor with our fans in the background. He's run off camera, of course. Let's jump straight into the game week 2 fixtures so we can set the tone to this. Ipswich drawing again. Southampton frustrated by Ipswich. Hull City winning, getting their season hopefully up and running for a lot of those fans, with Ollie McBurney and Gerdhelt getting goals, pouring a lot of pressure onto Oxford. 3-2 that one was. Derby were 3-1 up against Coventry, looking like they were going to pour some pressure onto Frank Lampard. No, Coventry coming out 5-3 winners. Norwich City rushed into a 2-0 lead, let Portsmouth in the end, but were able to hold on for 2-1. West Brom coming out 3-2 winners against Wrexham, pouring more misery onto Wrexham, who were very quickly finding out the Championship is not League One, League Two, or the National League. Birmingham City poured a lot of extra pressure onto Blackburn Rovers, winning 2-1. Charlton and Bristol playing out a 0-0 draw. Middlesbrough continuing a perfect start to the Championship, winning 3-0 away at the Den. Fantastic result for them against a strong Millwall side. Preston beating quite a few odds to come out 2-1 winners against Leicester, who really should be shaky and concerned about their start to this season. Stoke were able to maintain their perfect start, winning 3-0 away to Sheffield Wednesday. Much more convincing win compared to what Leicester were able to achieve against Sheffield Wednesday, who will be hoping to turn their fortunes around with their sale soon. Swansea were able to maintain fantastic home form by winning 1-0 against Sheffield United, joining Sheffield Wednesday down the bottom of the table, while Watford went down to 10 men, but were able to score 2 goals this time and win 2-1 at home to QPR, hopefully turning around some of their fortunes, both in front of the goal, but also in collecting points. I'm going to rack through these scores predictions. I am doing this right now after the 1-1 draw. So I've done these predictions yesterday on Thursday. I'm not going to try and act like I was able to predict Derby picking up what I thought was going to be quite an unlikely point. Of course, Derby last weekend struggling at home, getting absolutely spanked by Coventry in the end, while Bristol City, of course, weren't able to pick up a point against Charlton, but had destroyed Sheffield United on the opening day. Because of that, I had Bristol City winning 3-0 tonight, and how wrong could I have been? Fair play to Derby. We've got 3 early kickoffs on Saturday. Charlton at home to Leicester. I've gone for a 1-0 to Charlton, continuing hopefully their perfect start to this season in terms of clean sheets, but hopefully getting back on the score sheet. If they can maintain that, Leicester will absolutely be shaking, which I think they have all rights to do. Point embargoes could be a problem. Transfer embargoes could be a problem. There's a lot of financial issues that still kind of seem to be milling around Leicester City, and it really isn't clicking on the pitch just yet. With their first 3 points of the season, they had to wait for 2 centre-backs to do the work for them. Hull City taking on Blackburn. Hull City able to get their season up and running last weekend with a good win against Oxford United, but not a fantastic one, let's be honest. I didn't get enough credit maybe to Hull City, and one fan did take the opportunity last weekend to point that one out, and I'll give it to you. But am I amazed with all of your signings? No. Do I think some of them have potential, but also potential to absolutely self-implode? Yes. But let's have a look at Blackburn. Their opposition for this weekend. Blackburn are massively struggling. New signings not clicking. Manager maybe not quite working. Really still missing the hangover from Eustace leaving halfway through last season. And unfortunately, I think the misery is just going to keep pouring on for the near future. Hull City will win this one 2-0. Swansea at home against Watford. Watford have struggled in front of goal, and Swansea are fantastically good at keeping a clean sheet at home. That's why I've gone for 2-0 for this one, for the Swans. I think that home form at the home stadium for Swansea is going to continue. And unfortunately, I think Watford will just need to still keep going through the rigour until they can get themselves a proven scorer out of one of their fantastic players who've all got potential, but just right now are struggling to hit the barn door. Birmingham are the first of the 3 o'clock kickoffs, taking on Oxford, who were unable to beat Portsmouth on the opening day, were beaten by Hull in the game weekend last weekend, and unfortunately I think are going to struggle against newly promoted Birmingham. and find themselves probably rock bottom of the table if it isn't for Sheffield Wednesday. For me, I think Birmingham City will avenge their opening day draw, where they could feel very fairly aggrieved against Ipswich, and will win this one 2-0. Coventry take on QPR. Coventry hoping that they have now kicked their season back on with a very good comeback win against Derby last week. QPR struggling this season with no real sign of getting over the hangover of losing their manager to Leicester last season. For me, Coventry win this one 3-1 in a bit more convincing fashion, with Lampard's men doing the job. Norwich take on Middlesbrough. Now, as I say, I won't be doing a watch-along. I will be away in Amsterdam, enjoying myself, taking in the sights. And I will, of course, have still a review, and my preview will be up very shortly on my TikTok, and my review will be up over this weekend from the game. Middlesbrough, a fantastic opposition, will cause problems, as I'm sure, very similar, if not worse, than what Millwall did on the opening day for Norwich. Norwich have been able to go away and get 2 fantastic wins on the road since that opening day defeat. But unfortunately, I'm going to have to predict against my boys. I think Middlesbrough will win this one 2-1 and cause Norwich no end of headaches yet again. Preston take on Ipswich Town, and I think could continue the form of causing problems for some of those teams that should be maybe stronger than them. Ipswich have made a bit of a habit out of drawing games and losing on penalties when it matters. So unfortunately, I think their trend will continue, and Preston will keep plugging away, picking up points, with this one finishing 1-1. Sheffield United, of course, will be desperate to get their first points on the table as soon as possible and have a great opportunity here against Millwall at home. But as someone who has seen Millwall play away already this season, do not underestimate the boys from the Den. Those Lions can roar and they can bite and they can cause problems. And unfortunately, while I do think Sheffield United will get their first points of the season, it will be a solitary point in a 1-1 draw. Southampton have looked great on the first day, able to overcome a buoyant Wrexham side and destroy their dreams in the last couple of minutes, while Stoke have looked unbeatable, winning both their games quite comfortably and getting themselves right up to the top of the table. Unfortunately, I think this is potentially where either a small stumble or a complete derailing of the Stoke City Championship charge comes this weekend, with Southampton getting back to winning ways, winning 2-1, having been frustrated by the game against Ipswich. West Brom to take on Portsmouth. Portsmouth frustrated by a much, much better Norwich team last weekend, but able to get themselves back into the game. How much of that was down to the changes made by Portsmouth and their attitude in the second half versus how much it was to do with Norwich trying to just see out the game? Well, we'll have to see. West Brom have looked, as always, reasonably solid, getting themselves a good win against Wrexham away last weekend. And, of course, winning on the opening day, but, of course, against quite a poor Blackburn side. For me, the Baggies at home, though, will be a bit too much for Portsmouth, who maybe haven't had second season syndrome, but we could be showing signs of it, having only won so far against Oxford and losing this weekend 2-0 to West Brom. We finish Wrexham at home to Sheffield Wednesday. A fantastic opportunity at the racecourse for Wrexham to get their season up and running points-wise and wins-wise against, let's be honest, a Sheffield Wednesday who would be just trying to avoid being the whipping boys of the early season, desperately trying to force a sale as soon as possible. For me, Wrexham will pour on further pressure to Sheffield Wednesday, winning this one 2-1 and getting their season up and running under the furthered Hollywood era. Let me know what your predictions are for the weekend. Stick them in the comments down below. Let me know, especially you Canary fans, who is going to the game, which games you're going to, which stadium you'll be at, and what do you think the chances of your team performing are going to be. Most importantly, let me know what you think about my predictions, of course, in this video. As I say, I'm away this weekend, so there will be no matchday vlog, no watch along this weekend, but we'll be back Tuesday on this channel. I will be at the game for Southampton. The matchday vlog will probably not be out that evening, but I'm hoping to make sure it will be with you guys by the end of Wednesday. Have a lovely weekend. Have a fantastic time. Enjoy the football, and I will see you all very soon.